Hey everyone, we're going to talk about a little bit different photography topic today. How many of you guys have cats? You ever notice who a cat, just about everything is a toy? It's something they want to experiment with. They want to watch gravity as they knock the thing off and watch it bounce on the floor. Or take into mind someone who gets their sight for the first time and can see the world around them. We sighted people, especially us photographers, can get into a routine. And that routine takes two forms. One is we don't look at things the exact same way we used to. Take, for example, if you do a wedding, right? You've been a wedding photographer for a few years. You've seen a dozen or more weddings, and they all are pretty much the same, right? Bride and groom, minister, have the ceremony. You take pictures of the people. You take pictures of the bride and groom. You take the bride's party off, take pictures. You take the groom's party off and take pictures. You take pictures at the reception. It all seems to be the same, right? We get into this mindset of the repetitiveness of it. For example, let's say you're home and you have a basket that you leave your keys in. And you go to reach for them one day and the keys aren't there. And you swear you saw them there this morning. Well, the mind takes in so much information that if it's not something it needs right now, it kind of fills in the gaps. It ignores it. In a way that if you see broken letters and they just look like letters to you because your mind fills in the gap to make the letter. So when you walked by your basket in the morning, you weren't looking for your keys. Your mind wasn't focused on that. It was focused on something else. So it filled in certain areas of your visual perspective that you just didn't care about, right? So you didn't see that things weren't there because your mind just fills in the gap. Well, the keys should have been in the basket, so the keys must have been there. We can do the same thing as photographers, and that is just see the same thing over and over again, but a cat doesn't. A blind person who can now see doesn't. Everything to them is new. Everything is fresh. So you've done a dozen weddings. What's different about this one? And not just the people, and not just the venue. What's different about this one? What are all the little things that you can see that are different? If you don't look for them, you may not see them because you're just going to gloss them over. They aren't something you're looking for, so you just don't notice them. When I shoot an event, especially at the fort, which I've been doing now for years, but every time I go to the fort, I try to take the mindset of having never been there before, right? I still have the knowledge of being there before, which helps me get around a lot easier because I know which pathways go where. But what's different this time? Imagine yourself when you're taking a portrait or a picture of anything that you've never seen it before. How would you look at it differently if you'd never seen it before? Right? If you go to a pet store and you go play with one of the puppies or one of the kittens, what do you notice about that puppy or kitten that you don't notice about your own? Right? What is it that you just take for granted that's always there, like the length of their whiskers or their color of their eyes or how they hold themselves, the length of their fur? What are all the little details that just are beneath your notice? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, just because your mind's got so much information coming into it, it's got to drop some things off. But what is it that you can look at this scene that you're going to photograph and see something very different? Now, photographers typically are much more observant than the average bear. We have a tendency to see lots of details and see things that, well, people who don't do this for a living don't see, right? All the little details, like somebody's buttons or something like that. So this gives us a leg up to an extent, because we are noticing more details. But at the same time, we can still fall into that trap of just not seeing everything that's there in front of us. And then we might miss an angle that we could have grabbed, or a different technique we could have used. There's a photographer I follow on YouTube, and he shoots with some very expensive cameras, Mr. Colson, and he has a muse, a model that he uses quite a bit, Beck. And she was flipping her photographs, not top to bottom, but flipping it left to right. So doing a mirror image of the image, and you could see things differently by doing that. So he's going to start doing that with some of his pictures just to see what they look like. He flips them upside down every so often to see if there's some little piece that he missed when he's doing them. I just get really close to mine. I've got a graphics tablet that is a screen. So if I'm retouching a photograph, it's literally expanded right in front of me. So I can see all the little details. And that's how I approach it. For him, he was flipping them back and forth. It was showing him a different pose. But again, he's a photographer. He's been doing it for years. He does the same type of poses over and over again. That's not great. We can get stuck in that mindset. We can get stuck in something. I don't pose people for the most part because I don't want to do that to somebody. I don't want them to be a cookie cutter, something that I just do all the time. I may throw out some ideas of what they do and I may take pictures as they move because I don't want that posed shot. Even when I'm doing the events, if I pull somebody aside to take a photograph of them, I try to set them at ease. I want them to be relaxed. I want them to be able to just be themselves and enjoy the moment. And if they do, then the picture will reflect that and they'll enjoy the picture. But it comes down to getting those little details and just seeing things that you typically wouldn't. Because in your hurried life and with all that information coming into your head, certain things get dropped off. So try to see things anew every time you're out, every shoot that you do, even when you're going around the house. You know, if you've got something in your house that you've taken photographs of, a pet, portrait, anything that you've got in your house that you've taken pictures of, how can you do differently next time? What if you flipped that photograph? What if you tilted the cat a little bit to 10 degrees to the right or to the left? What if the dog's head just tipped a little bit more? What can you get that has just become rote to you at this point and you've kind of written it off? So look at things from a different perspective. Look at them as if you weren't the same photographer. Look at them as if you were doing things for the first time. And see if you can come up with a new way of viewing the world and viewing your photography. This isn't to get you out of using whatever trademark look that you have. But evaluate that every so often. See if it still fits for you. See if it still fits for the people that you're taking photographs of. And maybe see if there's something new that you want to add in. And that's what I got for you guys this week. I'll talk to you all next week.